our connection, that we're still connected to the earth, even if we have, floor and foundation beneath us. So today's practice is going to be a little bit more grounding, right? We're going to go through some water type movements because even the earth is made up of primarily water. So listen to your body, and we're going to go ahead and start on our backs in a supported bridge pose. So if you have a block or even a blanket, you can roll up just to elevate the hips slightly. Go ahead and begin. So again, we're on our back. We raise the hips up. And even if you can have your block on the highest setting, we're just starting out. So I'd recommend either the lowest or the middle setting. You can stack two blocks next to each other if you need a little bit wider base. And you can walk the feet out to whatever intuitively feels good for you and your body today. And if that doesn't feel at all good with the block or blanket underneath your sacrum, you can go ahead and take a constructive pose with the knees knocking in towards one another and the feet out towards the side. But otherwise, just begin to find a settling. The heart slightly raised above your head. We're already starting in this little mini inversion and just feeling the extra blood flow, the sense of opening and support. And throughout today's practice, if you feel called to deviate from any of the poses that I suggest, I encourage you to listen and follow what your body needs. And just using this time for your practice. Take 3 more long breaths here. And after that third exhale, bring your right knee in towards your chest, clasping your hands around the shin or maybe even just your thigh. And then the option to extend that left leg out towards straight. And you may find that you get this little bit of extra stretch by having the block beneath. If it's uncomfortable having the block again, you can remove it. But maybe having just a little extra lift stretches it in a new way. And really breathe into that left hip flexor, the left groin. Allowing it to soften and lengthen. And maintaining that steadiness of breath. Two more breaths here. And then bringing that right leg and extending it up towards the sky, allowing the hands to clasp around the thigh. Maybe rolling your ankle one direction and then the other. And then lingering here. wish to point the toes. Flex the foot and just see how that changes the sensation you feel. And if there's one that feels particularly interesting, maybe stick with it. And breathe into the back of the leg for another 5. Nice and soft 4. Another 3. Last 2. And 1. Bend the right leg. Allow the sole of the foot to come into contact with the earth. And then left knee draws in towards the chest. Giving it a nice squeeze. Hands clasp around the shin. Then extending that right leg towards straight. Several breaths here as we allow that right hip flexor now to start to soften. Three more long breaths here. And after that last exhale, go ahead and allow that left leg to go towards straight, your variation of straight. Hands maybe clasping around the thigh this time. And again, playing around with the ankle. Circles maybe going left and right. Exploring pointing the toes. And then flexing the foot, toes towards your face. And anything that's interesting in between. Another 5. And 4. Steady breath 3. Last 2. And 1. Bend the knee, draw it in. Allow the left sole of the foot to come back to the earth. Right sole of the foot comes to join. You find yourself back in your supported bridge pose. And then pressing the feet firmly into the ground. Raise the hips up just enough to remove the block or the blanket. And then slowly come back down. Draw the knees in towards the chest. And if it's in your practice, you have the option to take plow pose right now. And in plow pose, we don't turn our head left and right. So it's really important to keep the neck straight. The hands are flat on the mat by our sides. And then the feet come up towards the sky. And then the hips keep raising up and up and up. And maybe they even come over. Again, the gaze is up and not to the side to help protect the neck. Option to stay here for another 4, for 3, 2, and 1. Return back down. Nice and easy with control. And then coming back to the earth. If we think about the earth, it has a really strong core. So we'll engage a little bit of our own core today. Bring the knees up above the hips, so they're about hip width apart. And then your legs kind of create this 90-degree shape. Hands can be to your side, or maybe even lifting the hips up slightly. And the thumbs kind of make this L shape underneath to help give you a little bit extra support. And then we'll do some toe taps. So you keep this shape and just allow the toes to come tap to the ground and back up. So just these small motions and starting to engage that lower abdominal. We're going to do 8, so another 5, another 4, last 3, 2, and 1, holding it up. This time bring the knees in to hug one another, inner arches of the feet touching, and then we're going to create this kind of V shape. So when we lower the feet down, they're going to touch the outer edges of the mat and then come back up. So do 8 on your own, following your breath and control. And again, really think about this engagement of the core through the entirety of it. Trying to keep that 90-degree angle with the knees above the hips. Maybe feeling a little bit of fire already in the thighs also. And wherever you're at, we'll finish with our last 2. And 1. And bring the legs back down. Maybe straighten them out. Big, big, big stretch. We'll do 1 more set. And return. So walk the heels in. Hands can plant as you had them before, or maybe for a little bit extra challenge, you cactus them out above your head or have the arms extended, biceps by the ears. And then raise the knees, raise the feet, 90 degrees. And then lower for 8, for 7, for 6, strong core 4, last 3, 2, last 1. Zip the legs in, inner arches touch, knees touch, and then toes point to the edges of the mat, lowering down for 8, for 7, for 6, for 5, last 4, strong and steady 3, you've got this 2, last 1, up, and then back down, walk the feet out, maybe shake the legs, roll the feet side to side, nice extension. And then knees come up, cross the ankles, rock and roll your way up to a seated position. And in your seated position, you may be in Sukhasana, easy pose, or if you want to keep the legs extended out straight, that's fine too, as we move into some pranayama or breath work. So 1 hand on the heart, 1 hand on the belly. Begin by just breathing naturally and just kind of feeling where you feel it rise. Is it more in the belly? Is it more in the chest, the ribs? And then seeing if you can send a third of your breath down to your belly, feeling it expand, another third into the ribs, last third into the chest, raises up. Pause, and then exhale it all out. Again, on your own, 1/3 of the breath fills the belly first. You pause, fill it into the ribs, another 1/3, and then heart, the chest. And expand and let it all out. So continue on your own. Seeing if you can do 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Really getting that full range of motion of our breath, our capacity. Complete 1 more cycle. Your steady breath. Your unconscious breath. Allow the hands to come to the knees. And begin to welcome in some circles, allowing the chest to come forward and back around, really thinking about arching the back like our cat pose, and then opening the heart, collarbones shine forward. So whatever pace feels right for you. Maybe you're going a little bit faster than me, maybe you're going slower, maybe you're going deeper. It's the intuitive motion of your body. And switching directions. Again, finding this fluidity, this movement, like a little eddy in a creek or the river, swirling round and round. And then coming to a point of stillness and back to neutral. Walk your right fingertips out to the side, left arm reaches up, and then bending over. So really allowing those left ribs to kick out to the side, and then bending over, maybe coming down to the forearm of the right arm, if that feels right for you. Gaze maybe even up towards that left bicep. Really breathing into the left side body for 3, for 2. Last one, bring it on up. Right hand comes up to the left, and then left hand comes down. Walk the fingertips out, kick out the right ribs, and then maybe coming down to the forearm, whatever feels good. And maybe your neck, it feels comfortable to look towards that right bicep. For 3, expanding for 2, last one, coming back up, hands kiss, and then left hand to right knee, right arm reaches behind us, twisting out over towards our right. Left hand, right knee, right arm reaches back. Again, finding this length in the spine, and then twisting. Right shoulder blade drawing back, back, back. Gaze maybe even going back over that right shoulder for 3, for 2, and 1. Arms reach up, hands kiss. Other direction. Right hand, left knee, left arm reaches back. Again, chest drawing up, heart up, and then twisting out. Gaze maybe out over the left shoulder. And hands come up. Walk the legs out towards straight. Maybe shake them. And forward fold. Hands reach towards maybe the shins, maybe the toes. Bringing our belly comes down. And it's really our hearts reaching forward, Feeling the connection of our sit bones into the earth, the ground beneath. And then coming back up. Right sole of the foot crosses over to the outside of the left knee. Left arm comes to give that right knee a hug, and then twisting back over towards our right. If you need a little bit more leverage, you can always take the tricep or the back of the left arm into the top of the exposed thigh. think we called these beauty queen poses when I was in high school. If I said that, you probably would have got into the pose just like that. And release, switching sides. So right leg extends, left sole of the foot crosses to the outside of the right knee. And again, maybe you're just hugging that bent knee, and the chest comes towards the leg. Or then maybe you're finding that twist out over the left shoulder. Very nice. Unwind. Take the legs wide for our wide-legged splits. Maybe shake them out just to start. And then right arm reaches up and over towards our left toes. And there's a couple of different variations that you can do. So maybe it feels good to turn first and then kind of forward fold over that left leg. Maybe you want more extension in that right side body. Maybe the left arm reaches for the left toes. Maybe have it reaching towards the opposite leg. You have options here. Legs are active, toes are reaching up towards the sky. Feel that engagement as the heels dig into the ground. For another 5. Slow your breath. 4. Breathe into it. 3. Last 2. And 1. Switch. Unwind. Switch sides. So again, maybe you're square, moving towards square, and then forward folding over that right leg. Maybe that left arm reaches up and over. Right arm can be next to the right calf, or maybe it's reaching towards the inner leg of the left thigh. What feels good for you today? What are you called to do? Breathe into it. Find some stillness for 5. Follow your breath. 4. Nice and easy. 3. Last 2. And 1. Unwind. Allow the soles of the feet to come in for butterfly pose. And give them a nice little massage. If you feel comfortable touching your own feet. A little self-love, a little self-care here. Digging into our arches. Might feel welcoming. Maybe even coming up into our calves. Just a bit. And you can continue this little massage. Any place that feels interesting, maybe even pulling the toes. And then coming into a forward fold. Breathing into the hips. Allowing gravity to help keep you anchored. Another 3, 2, 1, coming up. Allow the knees to hug in. Hands come back to support. Windshield wiper them left and right, left and right. And then coming into child's pose. So you may wish to have extra blanket or support nearby or underneath your knees. For a child's pose, you may wish to be taking it wide, maybe even wider than you normally would, as the hips sink back towards the heels. Maybe the heels are tucked, and that could help take some pressure off the knees, and the hands giving you some support as well. Whatever you feel called to do, we'll linger here for just 3 and 2 on 1. Right hand slides down our mat towards our right knee, reaches back behind us, and then arches up overhead, and then comes to meet the left hand. Left hand backstrokes. So slides across the mat, past the left knee, up and over. And continue as though you're swimming. So think about this fluidity, finding some stretch, mobility in the shoulders. And you can stay low, or you have the option when the arm reaches up, the hips come up as well. Hips come up and forward. Reach forward. Hips sink back. And as the hips sink back, opposite arm reaches back. Kind of feel what intuitively feels right for you. Do another 2 sets. Really feeling into the hips, feeling into this range of motion with the shoulders. And then coming into some cat-cows. So bringing the hips up. Maybe even taking the hands a little extra wide this time, creating just some extra space to really feel grounded, dropping the belly, lifting the heart, lifting the chin, lifting the tail. Big inhale. Exhale, rounding it, curling it, drawing the belly in. Inhale, opening. Exhale, rounding. Inhale, opening. Exhale, round. One more. Inhale. And exhale. Coming back to neutral. Take the right leg, extend it out towards the back of the mat. Then cross it over the bent leg, gazing out over our left shoulder, stretching again, once again, into that right side body for 3, 2, and 1. Switch. So right knee draws back in. This time left foot steps out, crossing it over, and then gaze out over the right shoulder for 3, for 2, and 1. Walk the hands back to the knees. For toes pose, maybe pull the pinky toes out. Connecting into our breath here. Take the hands and clasp them behind us. Drive the knuckles down towards the ground. Shoulders drawing away, melting away from the ears. For 3, for 2, 1, release. Hands come down. Press yourself up to a forward fold. Maybe pedal out the knees. You may wish to have a block close by and put it in the center, maybe about a foot or so in front of you. Hand can anchor onto it, and right arm reaches up towards the sky. And allow it to drop. Left arm reaches up to the sky. Maybe taking a bend in the right knee. And drop. Opposite side, so maybe left knee bends this time. Right arm up. And to the left. One more time each side. Using the support to help us up. Very nice. And then bending deeply into the knees. Hands come to the thighs and slowly roll your way up to standing. If you've got any props in your way, you might want to take them. If you've got a blanket, you can leave it. And then stepping our right foot forward, we're going to step into a warrior one. So back foot is going to pivot out so it's about 45 degrees. And try not to be on this like straight line. Really think about being wide today. We're really trying to feel grounded and strong and connected to the earth. So when we are on these like lines and we're trying to be like this aesthetics, we tend to lose some of our balance. So today we're about grounding and being strong. So we find a bend in the right knee, hands to the hips, maybe to the heart, and maybe we can reach up. So our hips are square, so really drawing that right hip bone back, left hip bone forward. Shoulders dropping down away from the ears if the arms are raised. Nice and strong for 3, for 2. On 1, we're going to transition to warrior 2. So bring the hands down to the heart. Back foot pivots out so the toes face the long edge of the mat, and then sinking down. And maybe you want to walk that front foot, find a little bit extra length if you feel called to. If not, that's okay. And then again, widening the arms, right arm reaching forward, left fingertips drawing back. Warrior 2, gazing out over that front arm. And then straighten the front leg, reverse your warrior. Finding this fluid motion, bending into the front knee, side angle. Right arm comes to the top of the right thigh, left arm reaches over, maybe the gaze joins. Reverse the warrior, straighten the front leg. Again, strong and connected to the ground, but fluid like the water. Side angle. 1 more each. Reversing the warrior. And then side angle. Back to warrior 2. Hands come to your heart. Back foot pivots. And then steps forward to meet the right. Arms reach up towards the sky. Exhale, heart center. 2 more times. Inhale, finding this grounding and this strength. We reach up. We're connected to what's above. And bringing it back in. Last one. Bringing it up. And exhaling it back in. Now we're going to step our right foot back into warrior 1. So again, we're thinking wide. So maybe even walk that left foot out towards the edge of the mat, finding this strong warrior 1. Working our hips so they're square. Hands maybe stay on the hips just to help gauge if it's opening, like warrior 2. Maybe gently guide it. Come to the heart, check in. And then option to bring the arms up towards the sky, dropping the shoulders down away from the ears, maybe even hooking the pinkies in towards one another. And finding your focus, your drishti, maybe even visualizing these roots coming down from your feet, firmly anchored into the ground. Finding the steadiness of breath. And then hands to heart center. Transition to warrior 2, pivoting that back foot out. Toes pointing to the long edge of the mat. Extend the arms. Strong. Again, not having them too hiked up towards our ears, but letting them relax. They can be strong without being tense. Feel this opening. And then 3 iterations as we reverse the warrior. We straighten the front leg. Left arm reaches up and over as the right grazes the back of our leg. And then side angle, bending into the front leg. Forearm comes to the thigh, right arm reaches over. Follow your flow and your breath. There's no surprises here. What we're doing, extending, then bending back into it. One more. Bending back, side angle, reaching up. And then after you finish that last one, coming back to our warrior 2, we pivot onto the ball of the back foot for this crescent lunge. Hands come to the heart, shift the weight forward, right foot comes to meet the left. Find your Tadasana, and then we'll be entering into our dancing tree pose. So Tadasana is our mountain pose, right? We've got our shoulders over our hips and our hips over our ankles, really feeling around. Again, with the sense of being grounded and connected to the earth, these roots coming down from our legs, our trunks, into the ground beneath, maybe penetrating this foundation or whatever it is that you're practicing on today. And then shifting your weight into that left leg. And maybe even just starting with kicking the right knee out towards the side and having the right heel against the ankle. And then hands to the heart. Maybe hands up, wherever feels right for you. If you feel called to bring the leg up even higher, you can do so. But I'll leave you with 2 invitations to think about today in tree pose. Your first invitation is to find this steadiness, to find this stillness, to find this resiliency. So if the wind is moving, you are strong, you are focused, and you're not wavering. Second invitation would be to go with the flow, to find this wind and just kind of flow with it and be okay. And there's nothing wrong with either option, because there's times where we do need to hold our ground. Something will be blown our way, and we need to be strong for what we believe. There's other times where we do need to maybe be a little bit more flexible with the wind and take some of the blows and maybe lose a branch or 2. And coming on down. Beautiful. Allowing that right foot to plant, maybe shaking out the feet just a little bit. And then coming onto our right side and already having this maybe knowledge that one side is more balanced than the other. So finding whatever feels right for you and realizing that whatever you chose on one side, you may not be called to do on the next. So strong trunk for the right foot. Left knee kicks out to the side. And maybe just play with this as your stability, having the left knee draw out, out, out. Maybe your tree is super wavy. Again, whatever you feel invited to do. Focusing your breath. Find your drishti, that point of focus. And be kind to yourself through the process. coming down. If you feel called to, shake it out. And then meet me on your backs. Having our soles of the feet planted into the earth and our knees bent, set yourself up for reclined pigeon pose. If you feel called to take a standard pigeon pose, you are welcome to do so if that's in your practice. Otherwise, take your right ankle and cross it over atop your left thigh. Flex that top foot. Maybe thread your hand through the little figure four you created, clasping around the thigh or the shin. We'll be spending several breaths here. So really find just this softness and this steadiness. You're squeezing enough it's something that you can hold on to. But it's also not aggressive. You may feel called to even rock side to side a bit. And that's cool too. Send your breath to the right glute, the right hip, or whatever area is speaking to you in this pose. Lingering for another 8, for 7, for 6, 5, last 4, 3, final 2. On 1, slowly allow your clasp to release. Uncross the right leg. Maybe take it straight for just a moment. Wiggle it out. And then switching sides. Left ankle crossing on top of the right thigh. And again, whatever variation's right for you. And if you're taking your standard pigeon, go ahead and do whatever transition feels right to enter into it. Again, send the breath to the areas that need to soften, to release, to let go, that are resisting. And allow that tension to absorb into the earth. Bringing gratitude for everything that she is capable of absorbing that we release into her. Staying here for another 8 long, controlled breaths for 7, softening for 6, for 5, Last 4 and 3. The final 2. And on 1, again, slowly allow everything to come back and return to the earth. Uncrossing the legs. Maybe extending that left leg or stretching it, whatever feels appropriate for you. And then we'll windshield wiper our legs over to the right. So just allowing the knees to kind of flop to the right and maybe taking that right ankle and crossing it on top of the left knee. Might feel good to give just a little bit extra pressure. We're not looking for extra pain. Just a little extra weight. Maybe you feel called to do it today and maybe not, and that's okay. Again, your hands, where do they feel called to be? Maybe they're resting on your belly or on your side. Welcoming that sensation of being held. Or maybe they're out to the side. Welcoming in this openness to whatever may lay or enter in. Hang and stay here for another 5, for 4, last 3, 2, and 1. Uncross the ankle if it's crossed. Take the knees up and then plop them over to the left. Left ankle may be crossing on top of the right knee. Maybe the hands stay in the same variation, or you explore something new. What feels right in this moment? Allowing the support of the twist to wring out anything that's not serving you, to leave you more susceptible and open to that which does. Another 5. Last 4. Final 3. Relax for 2. Uncross on 1. Knees come up. Draw the knees in towards the chest and welcome in a happy baby. Either allowing the hands to reach for the pinky toe edges of our feet, or maybe they don't have the range to grab that. You can even take them outside your legs and grab for the backs of your thighs, and just work on bringing your thighs parallel to the ground in that capacity. What feels good for you? Maybe some little movement. Again, this fluidity. Feeling in to the hips. Finding this path of least resistance in the pose. Like water in a river. Maybe bringing the legs towards straight if you feel called to do that. And that's in your range of motion. Feel into it for another 8. Soften the thighs for 7 and 6. Last 5. Keep breathing 4. Final 3. Lengthen the breath for 2. And 1. Bring it on in. Extend the legs out towards the base of your mat. Arms reach up above you. Big stretch. Then banana pose. Arms come out towards the right. Feet walk over towards the right. Maybe crossing the left ankle on top of the right. Finding some extension through the left side body. For 6. 5. 4. Last 3. Long left side 2. And 1. Unwinding. And then shimmying our way over to the left. And crossing the ankles, walking the heels. Then right ankle maybe crossing atop the left. Arms reaching out. Maybe even the left hand clasping the right wrist. Finding this line from our wrist down the arm, across the armpit, right side body, all the way across the hip into the legs. For 6. Last 5. Feel the stretch for 4. Feel the length for 3. Breathe into it for 2. And 1. Release into your final Shavasana. Grab any props that might bring you ease and comfort and nourishment and whatever it is you feel called for. Perhaps it's a blanket for warmth. Perhaps something underneath the knees for extra support. Or maybe even under the back to open up the heart. That could feel good. Palms either out to the side or resting on your body. And then checking in. To yourself. Unclench the teeth. Relax the jaw. And allow the softness and ease to start to melt and sink into your mat, into the ground beneath, and the foundation beneath, and the earth beneath, into the core where it's processed. Soften, release. Soften, release. Slowly Begin to bring awareness back to the space and where your body is within it. And then to your body, allowing some movement to enter and motion, starting with the little toes and fingers, maybe even scrunching the nose a little bit, massaging the back of the skull as the head rocks left and right, and then eventually rocking your body onto one side. Cradling the neck, the head, and the nook of your arm, finding this sense of comfort. Maybe one hand on the ground that you're practicing with a little tap, sending some gratitude for the space that has supported you for today's practice. And then just for our earth, for supporting us through our life. And everything that she provides for us to live. When you're ready, slowly allow yourself to come back up to a seated position. Finding our breath, finding our spine, and finding these roots connected into the earth through our spine, keeping us strong and grounded even as we sit. Checking into how you feel in this moment. And understanding that you cultivated that within you, and you can do it again off the mat. So please join me in 3 closing, cleansing breaths in case there's anything else you need to release. A big inhale, arms reach out and up. Audibly exhale, release. Inhale. Let go. In. I want to thank you for joining me on today's yoga journey on Earth Day. Namaste.